1 year, 11 months, and 23 days ago, we unboxed The Life of Naruto by Crescent Studios, almost 2 years later, and today we're going to be taking a look at their Life of Sasuke to see if it was worth the wait. Before we do, I'll be giving away this Banpresto Vibration Star statue of Curse Mark II Sasuke. To participate, just comment below which form of Sasuke do you think the studio did best at bringing to life in the statue, and also be sure you're subscribed to the channel with the notification bell on so you do not miss any uploads. Jumping into the statue, we can see this ginormous base on the bottom is the Crescent Studios logo. Now, they normally do a lot of Pokemon statues, so neat to see them flex and do some Naruto ones. A very large Manda over here on the left side, a lot of rocks, debris, rubble, giving kind of that feeling as if they were bursting from the bottom of the base. The legs of the Susano over here as well, but Manda's cold around the entire bottom of this. Similar to Naruto's, they have this scroll nameplate that goes on the front. I do not know what this says, so if somebody could let me know in the comments section, I would appreciate it. One of the first pieces they did sculpt separately is going to be Manda's tongue. It's got a little bit of a gloss shimmer to it as well, so it does look wet, as I imagine a tongue would be. Connects with a small magnet, and here's a close-up of that. On the back, we'll see the USB-C power port, and then also the button that turns the LEDs on. You'll see some holes also in the rocks here. That's where the speaker is, because this statue actually plays music, so music and LEDs. And here's a random dust effect piece that goes on the back. Next up is the skirt of the Susano, or I guess the bottom portion of the armor, skirt, whatever you want to call it. But paint job has done it very well. Got some cracks, some battle damage on top. We'll see some magnets in here that will help it attach to the main portion of the body that we see here. Next up is the large and heavy upper torso for the Indra's Susano, an amazing blending of both painted resin and the clear resin. Some more battle damage here. On the bottom is a notch with a steel rod and also some power connect points to allow the LEDs to get some of that power to light them up. The clear resin is really great quality though. We can see some notches and magnets as well where other effects and body parts are going to be attached. Really happy we had that steel rod on the bottom that is safely secured into place. That first arm, like the body, has that amazing blending of the painted and clear resin. There's all sorts of notches and grooves on here as well, because a lot of pieces rest on other pieces to allow things to go together. A really masterful way to engineer this statue. We have the actual Indra's arrow that connects with this magnet and a notch on the bottom. As we're unboxing the statue, I'll also mention that I do have an extra copy of this on hand. A friend of mine shipped his with my shipments and decided it no longer fits in his collection the way he wants to, so he did ask me to sell that at some point. So if you're looking for one, just hit me up anytime on Facebook or Instagram. Here are some extra chakra effect pieces that are going to go on that back section. I guess they were a little bit too fragile, could have broke during shipping, so they did sculpt those separately. The other arm is going to be holding that bow for the Indra's arrow as well. The actual bow comes separate from the hand. It's made of two different pieces that do magnetize together. You can disconnect it like that, but does rest inside the hand. And eventually this magnet up top is going to support a very large effect piece that we'll see. To make sure that bow is safe and secure though, it does rest against the bottom of the rock as seen right here. And then here's one of those larger effect pieces. This is the one that's going to go on the bottom that does connect to the hole you see in the near knee section of the Susano. That wraps up most of the crazy base and initial effects going on. So we can see Kid Sasuke coming in first, a very basic pose. Got the steel rod and notch on the bottom to connect, some leg warmers. Overall, the sculpt and paint job is incredible. Crescent never disappoints there. Nice, they went with the two Tomo Sharingans for the eyes, and I will admit that the head sculpts for each of these statues, they're kind of like an 8 out of 10 for me. They're not perfect, they're not horrible, but there's something a little off about almost each of them. So here's also a fire effect that we're going to go on the base around him and a little bit above him as well. So there's Kid Sasuke front and center, nothing too flashy, but we're going to move over to the right side over here, and it's actually going to be Team Taka Sasuke. First, we have this effect piece that goes on here. It's actually important because it's going to help him stay into place, but a very dynamic pose. As I mentioned, the Kid Sasuke, very static, very museum style, while as we go up, we're going to see a lot of dynamic poses. So amazing how they brought all the outfits to life. The paint job, the decals for the Akatsuki clouds were well done. Got a little bit of damage up there. And though it looks like one big piece, the heads do come sculpted separately and magnetized on like that. And then his hand is missing from this one, but we'll get him onto the statue. It attaches with that steel rod in the kneecap, and the effect piece with that dust magnetizes onto the other leg. As expected, Sasuke's sword is weapon of choice, and holding it in that cool reverse grip style magnetizes on there. And a close look up at that, we can see again that foot sitting on the dust effect piece and him safely secure because of that steel rod. And if we go further up and look towards the back, we'll see that magnet that we saw again. Let's get that effect piece installed onto the statue. Very similar to the one that we had on the kneecap, it adds that dynamic flowing feel around the statue. And I mentioned before that like certain pieces lean on each other to allow them to be attached. This Sasuke that we'll get into later is really required for this next one coming up, which is going to be the CM2 Sasuke. It holds this arm into place to make sure it doesn't fall off. CM2 Sasuke has to be one of my favorite poses on the statue because it's going to be mid-air, especially with the way that he attaches to that Susano arm with the wing. But that's actually something I want to talk about is the wing for mine came broken. Somebody else I know had theirs as well. So I had to repair it with some epoxy resin glue. We can see some of the damages right here, that glossy effect there. Really tricky to get this to cure and set, but now that it is, it's strong and perfectly fine. But it was the wing that attaches to there. So could have been very detrimental if I didn't get this fixed. You have to really shove it on there, but good to go now. Definitely be aware if you are going to be purchasing one in the future. His arms were sculpted separately. On here we can see the pointed nails. As far as the head sculpt goes, this is definitely one of my favorites so far. He's got a grand smirk, some confidence the way the hair is flowing. The skin tone seems a little bit lighter than I would expect. I imagine it being a little bit darker, but still good nonetheless. Here's just Chidori. Comes in multiple different pieces, like 4 different pieces. You have to attach everything together and it magnetizes on there. But again, the way that he's flowing and sitting on this statue is all reliant upon this Sasuke up top that keeps him on there, because the Susano arm would fall right off if these feet weren't connected to there. So very important. But here is how this body looks on here. When you get to take a chance to look at it before. In the back as well, we'll see another magnet for the last large effect piece to be installed. We had to get CM2 Sasuke on there first before we could do that. But now we'll move on to the, I guess, technically the EMS version of Sasuke. First, we have this eagle that's going to attach and rest onto his shoulder. Lots of great details built into there. Out of all the forms of him so far, though, this one definitely has the most pieces sculpted separately. Here's his front arm holding the Chidori blade, and in the back we're gonna have the actual Chidori. Similar to the CM2, this one came with like a bunch of different pieces that you had to add on separately, but amazing when it's all together like that. For his head sculpt, he actually came with 2 different versions. So this first one with his eyes shut, and then the second one's gonna have the Rinnegan with his mouth open. Probably gonna go with this one because of the Rinnegan alone, but thankfully they did include an extra bust on the side where you can put the extra head on there to display with it if you would like. I always appreciate when they do that, so the head doesn't just sit and go back in the box. You have a way to display it. Now we have adult version of Sasuke, very similar to the kid Sasuke, where he is just standing here, but fitting for him how he is in the series for Boruto. I'm curious, let me know in the comments below, how many of you actually like read and keep up with the manga for the Blue Vortex version? I'm actually curious how many of you out there do enjoy that as well. But there is him and everything together. I will share with you, a freebie came with the statue if you bought both Naruto and Sasuke, and it's going to be this majestic attire armored Kurama right here. So kind of a chibi version. Neat little thing they did add in the statue as well to kind of gift people that did support their projects. I happen to notice that if you do put a UV or black light on it too, it makes the paint stand out in a very fun and different way. So just a silly thing that I did notice. And dimming the lights, we'll take a look at the LEDs. It has 3 different options. One is going to be a pulsating like this. Another one's going to be a breathing effect. The other is static. Now, one complaint I have is when you press the button, it only lasts for about 15 to 20 seconds and it turns off. So there's no way to keep it statically on consistently. Also, as I mentioned, it does play some music. And there we have it, the ultimate Life of Sasuke statue in the display case. You might notice my setup looking a little different these days. Channel update very soon. Can't wait to share with you. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next. Do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.